没有妹妹，
没有赖子，加油加油！
刚刚吵架，
我应该来道歉。姐，I see her. Make it on the first team.
I just wanted somebody to talk to.
Why are you stopping me now? It wasn't my fault.
Fine! Don't give me that! Okay, little ones are gone anyway.
So if you wish to tell your stories on screen, bring your audiences on an emotional journey of laughter and tears, one award-winning film at a time. Then come join us at
Hey, glad you can join us today. My name is Shazrina, and I'm a Year 2 DFT student. In our second year, we get to hone our skills by learning advanced editing, audio post, cinematography, directing and advanced directing, marketing and distribution, as well as studio production, and get an overview of non-fiction and screenwriting. Our student will form a team to create an 8-minute genre film plus a 10-minute short documentary. This short film will tug at your heartstrings, expand your worldview, and might even send a chill or two down your spine. We hope you enjoyed these films and documentaries as much as we enjoyed bringing them to life.
When I was younger, I had always thought that it would just be me, my older brother, and my parents. A family of 4, the perfect number for a family to have. I never imagined needing anyone else because they were just enough for me. When I found out that my mom was pregnant, I was surprised at first, but I became excited when I realized what it could mean to me. I thought about how amazing it would be if I had a younger sister. But somehow, that didn't go as I planned either. Instead, I had 2 baby brothers, twins. Their names are Zaki and Zakwan, and they're turning 15 this year. This is my mom, Nora. She has been taking care of them ever since they were born. Despite all the challenges she has been through, she still remains strong and does her best to look after all 4 of her children. However, shortly after the birth of the twins, many complications soon began to arise.
we went to the developmental unit where they did some tests on Zaki Zakwan. One of it is the test for autism. Another one that the doctors suspect that they could have is the Rubinstein-Tayeby syndrome. But after going through all the other tests, they couldn't find any specific conclusion. So that's why Zaki Zakwan is now diagnosed with global developmental delay.
Global developmental delay, otherwise known as GDD, is a generalized intellectual disability. Children diagnosed with GDD do not develop at the same pace as their peers due to their impaired learning ability. GDD can have many underlying causes. However, 40 to 50% of these cases are unknown. Unfortunately, this was the case for my brothers as well. Despite that, it doesn't stop them from finding the joy and fun in the little things they do.
Zaki like to play with water, whereas Zakwan like to play with the marble trap. Actually, I don't know why Zaki is so fascinated with water, but he has been fascinated since he was small. It calmed him down and made him feel that after that he can go on to the next part of the day. One thing about Zakwan, somehow he knows the number of marbles he has. We have never actually counted the marbles he has in his container, but if you were to take it away, at one look he somehow will know that some marbles are missing, then he will go around the house looking for it.
In the beginning, my family and I had trouble telling them apart. I used to differentiate them by the colored shirts they were wearing. While Zaki has a mole on his right cheek, Zakwan has a scar on his eyebrow. At first sight, they seem like any other child. Fun, lovely, and excitable. I didn't really understand what was so special about them, or why my mom had to spend so much time with them. To me, they were just my ordinary twin brothers, and all I knew was that they needed more care and attention.
Because Zaki Zakwan both can't talk, so it's difficult to know exactly what they are feeling, what they want. Especially when they cry and throw tantrum. Either they will throw themselves on the floor and just roll or start screaming there, or they might just hit the wall or whatever that is around them.
Due to their lack of speech, it is difficult to communicate with them as they are unable to express themselves. This takes a toll on my mom as well, when the twins are not able to understand her. It was an especially difficult period of time when the twins had to undergo surgery for their legs. Ever since they were young, Zaki and Zakwan had developed the habit of tiptoeing while they walked. As a result, surgery was needed to remove the hardened muscles to prevent them from injuring themselves in the future.
Getting them to go through the surgery, while I know that it's for their benefit, it's also not a very easy decision for me to make, because all surgery will have whether it will be a success or not. For their case, they have another hurdle to go because mentally they do not understand. It's very hard to explain to them why they have to just lie down, but no words can help to make them understand. I just have to be strong, just show a happy face, smile at them, give them the assurance that everything is okay.
My mom always tries her best to ensure that the twins are happy and cared for. Despite working a full-time job, she also ensures that she spends time with Zaki and Zakwan. Every weekend, my mom would bring the twins to the airport, as it is one of their favorite places to visit.
So once we reach the airport, what I will do is I will let them take the lead. To me, it doesn't matter that they are actually going to do something very boring or simple to other people, which is just standing at the sky train there, looking at the train. But somehow, to them, they are just enjoying themselves. They are just very happy.
The twins have greatly improved in their social skills and are beginning to understand feelings, as well as how to empathize with others.
I noticed that they are now more friendly to people around them. They are beginning to identify the people who come to our house, people who they meet outside. They greet them without even me asking them to do it. Sometimes they will just go to that person and wave or hug them. So for that part, I am quite happy to see that they have at least improved in their social interaction with their.
It might have taken a long time for them to get this far, but it was an even tougher journey for my mom, who chose to never give up on them. She was always there for them from the very first moment they were able to walk till today, where they are finally able to care for themselves and each other.
One of my biggest regret is not quitting my job when I had Laki Zakwan. I should have stayed home and focused on them. Maybe I could have done more. I could have spent more time. I could have helped them to develop faster because when you're working, so the time spent on looking and caring after the Zakwan is not as much as I would like to. Zaki and Zakwan, don't worry, no matter what happens, I will always pray for you to be happy, for you to be healthy and well taken care. And even if Mak is not around, you still have your brother and your sister. And please be good children. Listen to your brother, listen to your sister. Don't give them trouble. Learn to take care of yourself. And inshallah, we will meet in Jannah together. And by then, I hope to hear you call me Mak.
After all these years, I finally understood that even though this might not have been the ideal family I imagined it to be, it was even more than what I've always hoped for. In the end, I realized that my ideal family and my reality had always been intertwined.
When I was younger, I used to follow my father to work. I wasn't sure what he was. He had no office and he wore no tie. Instead, he earned his keep by roaming the corridors of the HDB blocks. My father's job was never mentioned in school, nor could it be found in the pages of the dictionary. Yet every now and then, I would hear and see people just like him. Men dressed shabbily, clothes worn, hands shriveled, and hair unkempt.
人我呢，小波抓排列了电视机。
They would shout continuously as they homed through car parks and weaved through the streets. Sometimes I would even overhear parents saying to their children, "If you don't study hard, you'll end up a karang guni." Was this really how my father was portrayed? At 54 years old, my father has been a karang guni for half his life. For 27 years, he has collected old goods to make a living. Karang guni may be a Chinese trade, but one may not know that the name itself is Malay, which stands for ganisak. The karang guni is a unique trade that holds genuine Singaporean roots, with its origin dating back to the 70s. I must admit that when I entered primary school, I became more conscious about my father's occupation. Many times I found myself wondering what life could have been if my father was a doctor instead, or maybe just a regular office worker, like many of my friends' fathers. I could not have dinner with him like other families would, for he was always working from dawn till dusk every day, taking off days only during Chinese New Year.
我们刚刚出来收的时候是很害羞啦，看到人不敢看他们了，看地上了，没有怎样啦，久久了就习惯了就可以了。嘎啷古里的困难，以前是没有什么困难啦，现在困难比较多啦。现在就是车很贵啦，货很少啊，赚不到什么钱啦。嘎啷古里就是比较辛苦啦，要晒太阳啊，淋雨啊。 下大雨就不可以收啦。
Although the rag and bone trade has been on the decline since the turn of the century, growing up, I found myself being surrounded by many karang guni uncles who would gather at Ang Mo Kio to sell their hard-earned wares. Like my father, these karang guni have been in the trade for a very long time, and they all came with varied experiences and stories. They are all good friends of my father, and each and every one of these karang guni uncles breathes life into the place. Mr. Eng is one of my father's colleagues, and although he's relatively new to the trade, he has already picked up the prejudice this karang guni face in a short time.
这个karang guni 哦，他们多数是说，哎呀，你们这种是很低级的工作啊，没有读书的，好像有些人是说有一点学问，他就看不起你了。家长有的也是有这样讲啊，你不好好读书嘞，以后啊你长大了啊，你就找不到工作，你要做karang guni啊。
However, contrary to what Mr. Eng believes, there are those who still remain fiercely proud of their trade, like Mr. T and Mr. Goh.
新加坡啊，一大堆嘎拉姆尼啊，然后你会给人家看不起。
这个环保啊，我们是好啊。
你去打抢、去杀人帮，我就给人家看不起。
啊
OK， 我们做正行的。
什么都好要。
嘎啷古尼啊，做嘎啷古尼真正讲，嘎啷古尼是做伟大了，因为嘎啷古尼哦属于环保嘛，现在流行环保啊。你看，如果我们没有新加坡没有做嘎啷古尼来收这个旧货啊，他们就拿去烧掉啊，就污染空气了啊。因为现在这种就是可以卖的，人家的外国那些比较穷的国家都买这种旧电视机看啊。如果我们没有收这种，他们哪里有电视机看？他们买新的都买不起呀。这个行业要淘汰的原因就是现在市场的货比较少，车又贵， 费用都很高啦，每个都赚不到钱，是这样，没有办法嘞。
Thankfully, after years of hard work, my father saved enough to rent his own space and acquired a large amount of equipment to open his own company, cementing his place in the trade as a middleman. Today, his warehouse is still a hub of activity. Each and every one of these uncles here breathes life into a struggling trade. They have turned themselves into a small community where the warehouse was a place they could see their toil being turned to gold. All the Karangoni uncles here share the same motivation as my father, which is to earn a decent living through hardship, to feed their families. Being so different yet so alike, there is an unspoken bond among them, a trust forged slowly over many years.
不过老师讲一句话了，安哥老师讲一句话了哦，你爸爸的人啊，我认识到我很开心，他人谈得来，做人老实啊，谈得来就好嘛啊，谈得来做人老实。Thank you 你爸爸 very good OK 啊 OK very happy OK
我每天大概是9点半到10点做工，回家大概是8点9点，没有什么生意就7点，如果生意再好之后10点也可以。我每天都是大多数都是一个人吃饭，因为时间不一样嘛，我自己一个人做工吃了就吃饭了，这个跑掉了，偶尔会跟他们一起吃饭了，碰到一起就一起吃饭。怀念跟人家吃饭一定会啦，我们都从小都在跟孩子在一起，一定会想着跟孩子他们一起吃饭啦。
Looking back now, I feel ashamed that I was ashamed of my father. He braved the rain and sun, working long hours every day, facing other people's contempt just to support my family and I. The fatigued look on his face, those arms tanned by the scorching sun. It makes me wonder how my father could find the strength to persevere through after all this while. My father plies a trade that many scorn and shun, but in my eyes, he is a respectable man. I do not know how much longer he can work, as 25 years of intense labor has also taken a toll on his body. My father is uneducated. My father may be despised by others, but his sacrifice has raised a family. It has raised me, and for that, I am eternally grateful.
I've been doing lion dancing for 23 years. I've been Namsen for about 10 years. Looking at the lion is very interesting. I wonder how the eyes blinking, the mouth moving, then like the lion actions. So when they performing at time, I just approach one of my friend I say I want to join the lion dance.
6年前，我的哥哥带我来参加舞狮，然后我就喜欢上了舞狮，我就待了几年了。
The iconic tradition of line dance had long been an art form governed by strict codes of membership. Line dancers were exclusively Chinese and almost always men. But the ancient Chinese art of line dance has been undergoing a silent revolution in the Lion City, reflecting a more diverse membership, wider respect, and appreciation throughout the world. Namsen is one of about 20 line dance troupes in Singapore. They have been active for a decade now. But for a relatively young group, they've already chalked up a series of impressive honors earned during competitions. The troupe is hard at work. In 10 days' time, these line dancers will have to fight for the pride and glory of their troupe in the fiercest competition of the year.
我们参加了11年了，因为这个是第11届了，所以我们获得了5次冠军了。第1年的时候我们就得了冠军了，第1届的时候，接下来连续4、5、6届，应该是4、5、6届都拿冠军，连续冠军了。
With the high standards of Namseng and their reputation on the line, the pressure is on.
每一个比赛都是会紧张的，因为你会有很多外国队、新加坡舞狮队，就是全部的舞狮会看好你，看你会不会这些，所以打错的话都蛮压力的。
While they aren't usually the stars of the troupe, the rhythm section plays a pivotal role nonetheless, giving the beat and momentum that keeps the lion head and tail in sync.
Competition is really stressful. You have to be exact, accurate, and fast.
如果说舞狮，不要说我打乐器打错了，如果说舞狮他们没有跌，跳得完整，没有扣分，他们一跳完了，我们就整个放松，超开心的。
While Shirley finds her form on the cymbals, sadly, Roy is unable to stomp the battlegrounds alongside his pride.
I have height phobia because I had a bad fall before when training time. If I didn't have a bad fall, I will still be active on competition.
在练习的时候，偶尔啊都会有那种跌倒的形象算出来，好像有些折到脚啊、折到手啊、头破血流都有过啊。这个手断了，但是我们的这个arm的大骨整个断掉了，整个一个 V shape 出来。危险当然是有了，没有危险啊，那种不精彩了，没有人看。
With all the danger and possible injuries that could be attained, it is no wonder why Roy has developed a fear for the high poles. But stunts and dangers were not the only challenges Roy had to face while picking up this art form. He also faced problems fitting in.
Because when they say Chinese, I will start the black already because I don't understand. I mean, keep on asking them what you talking, what you talking, what you talking. They was like, hey, I'm very tired, don't talk to me now, I don't want to talk to you. I got no stamina to explain. That was like, I was asking only what. Then he say like, I already told you already I was tired. I say, you can say properly what, tired what. Why you must like so picture like that?
If Roy faced a language barrier, Shirley had bigger problems.
当初的挣扎在试管是很多东西都不能做，就比如说那个他们比赛的跳桩，女生不可以跨过去， 他们觉得倒霉，他们就会看到我跟那些男生一样都搬东西搬上搬下，然后他们就会问我，为什么你搬东西不是男生搬？然后他们就说他们那里都是男生做东西，他们女生什么都不用做。我就觉得这样子也是很没有意义啦。
以前的思想会比较自私啊，但是现在开放了，现在的思想真的不一样。我们有这种交流的，好像我们的想法，因为我们新加坡是4大种族嘛，每个种族来参加也是好了，就是说他们有心学，我们就有心教。
With this new era of accepting and including others, finally, Roy and Shirley have forged lifelong friendships.
I treat this family as a second family 啦。
在这个试管，因为他们是属于我的第2个家庭了。
The day has arrived for this pride of lions to perform in unison. In today's competition, troops from all over Southeast Asia are competing to see who will emerge victorious. Shirley is the only lioness among the collective pride. She waits patiently at the wings, hoping it would be her up there one day.
如果要说好，其实我觉得我做的还不够好啦。机会在学，当然是愿意啊，学多一点东西。所以改次如果真的表演那个东西的话，我还可以去表演。
Now, it's Namsing's turn to take the stage. The troupe put on a strong showing. Although they didn't emerge champions, they earned a respectable runner-up.
Proud is proud, but we happy because we get to enjoy more.
骄傲是还好啦，开心比骄傲还多啦，因为这不是我一个人的功劳。
As Singapore grows more diverse as the days go by, it is nice to see that a once cloistered and exclusive art form include a wider range of diversity amongst their membership, breathing an unexpected new life into an old tradition, including more people who share the same passion for this art form. Regardless of race, language, or religion, we can all join in the pride.
What was the last thing you heard when you stepped into a modern salon? Modern salons not only offer customers a variety of hairdressing services, but also a luxurious environment. However, other than modern salons, there is one other place that a handful of Singaporeans have been going to for years. Tucked behind the back alleys of restaurants stands a street barber. Meet Mr. Lee Yuan Dong, one of the last street barbers in Singapore. Out of the 82 years of his life, 55 were dedicated to the barbering industry. Today, he still cuts his customers' hair with much care and passion.
我小的时候啊，对于这理发的行业有兴趣了，我就拿这一盘水果上楼梯啊，看看我的师傅在剪头发。我就给他一点水果，然后他坐在那边一边看一边吃，一边拿来吃了。
Street barbers have gone a long way back in Singapore's history and are called the 5-footway traders, also known as go kaki in Hokkien. These people were craftsmen who operated along walkways of shophouses that were 5 feet wide. They provided affordable goods and services and set up their stalls wherever space was available, allowing them to shift easily. The simple setup of a wall mirror, some plastic pills, and a barber chair allows the mobility of a street barber. Mr. Lee's tools have been with him for 55 years and are still used today for a variety of services.
洗耳跟它有一种药水，跟它洗一下，它就不会痒。还有这个挖耳朵的东西，要给它松了然后这个用这个来跟它夹出来我看有40年起码，你现在外面找不到的，也是买不到
Even with these unique traits, few people patronize street barbers. As people visit modern barber shops because of convenience, they soon grew comfortable and began visiting it more often, drawing customers away from Mr. Lee.
做生意你不要放在心里，有时候生意好，有时候生意不好，因为6块一根，有时候我空手回家。你有机会一定要拼命做，迟一2点钟吃饭没问题。
Today, Mr. Lee's barber services are still unknown and unnoticed by many. Despite the many high-rise buildings along Telok Ayer Street and the busy lunch crowd it brings, only a handful of office workers know about this hidden gem. Despite the pain and ache Mr. Lee has to face today, there were also struggles in the past.
他2个 gangster 来跟我拿钱，他们来是1、2个，一定也是看你生意好了，他不是开口大一点。 就跟他讲啊，说理发不是很好赚，你怎么样去储蓄这个钱？我的女儿跟我说不要给他，我说你是女的，你很危险，你女儿怎么样跟人家打架？她有没有拿刀来？你要防备。
The troubles Mr. Lee faced in the 1970s as a street barber forced him to take on other jobs to provide for his family. After going through the struggle of providing for his daughter's education, Mr. Lee finally returned to the barber's trade, earning the confidence and loyalty of many customers over the years. These customers are also the ones who have been sustaining Mr. Lee's trade till today. They have not made this just a business, but also a friendship that lasts.
真的，我这边的顾客每一个都很关心，他知道我没有吃饭，他刚才拿一包饭，还有一个咖啡，他有的顾客是给我们不必用那么多费用可以节省。他也知道我在这边啊收的价钱很低。
哦，很久了咯，很久了，几十年。因为安哥的手势是很好啊，我们都谈得很好的，但是我的广东话就说得不好了。
Well, I went to Google and I typed in best barber in Singapore and get me to another webpage, and I saw a picture of this guy doing his business in the alley, and I was sold from the picture.
53年他剪，53年，他剪得很好，又便宜。
So you come in through here, this alleyway, and it's a whole different world. Hard to find, but it was worth it. Clearly, he's cut a few thousand people's heads, so he knows what he's doing. Even if you don't get your hair cut, just come down and have a look, right? Because it's something that's pretty unique, I guess.
很难得老师傅啊，身体这么好，80几岁高龄啊，还在这边一直待这边为我们服务，谢谢他。
You gotta come here. This guy gives the best haircuts in Singapore.
他剪得漂亮 ，nice 。他在这里做了10多20年了，这里当时生活真的很辛苦啊。我好像我们这样又要照顾家，自己的家还要照顾父母。我还不会做了，没有这个气力，老了。我今年82岁了，最多给你做多1年。你气力就差了，一年一年呢，我们会退步了。时间很珍贵的。
Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to TP Open House 2020. And you're with the Diploma in Digital Film and Television, or DFT for short. I hope you've enjoyed the wonderful documentaries that were produced by our second year students. And my name is Wahida, and I'm one of the lecturers here in DFT. With me this morning are students Alisa Fella, Celeste Lee, and Lester Lim. Okay, we're here to answer any questions you might have about the DFT course. Also, the students are here to share with you what it's like to be a student filmmaker at DFT. So, over to you. Okay, while waiting for the questions coming that will be coming, perhaps we can have a chat over here. Shall we start with Celeste? Celeste, when you were trying to choose a course to go into the poly, right? Okay, how did you arrive at DFT?
Actually, this idea didn't came about until I attended open house. So I actually didn't knew that I wanted to do film. I was actually a science student before I came to film. And it was only around my year 4 then I looked back and realized that actually all the things that I've been enjoying was like media. And then when I went to the open house, when I saw the set, the studio, then it hit me like, I want to do this. Yeah, so that's why I went to EAE and everything. And up till now, I don't regret because I truly love like crafting the story. And also there are some technical that I like touching the camera also, get to film and frame and everything. So I don't regret joining DFT. And I think if you want to venture into something new, it's also good to come.
Great. Right. From science student to media students.
It was a huge jump. Yeah, because when we came, like we had this course called Design Fundamentals where we had to do art. It was very tiring, and I felt I was very behind because there were a lot of my friends that were art students. They took art in secondary school, but along the way, I felt like I slowly learned to appreciate drawing and painting, and I actually started to like drawing and painting right now, and I do it in my free time also as well. Yeah, so although it was a big jump, but I feel that if I felt very passionate for film, I wanted to go into film. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Fella, what about you? Was a film something you've been wanting to do? Your older sister, was a film student, and what about you? Was it something that you also wanted to do?
Yeah, so for me, my whole family, I guess, we've always been like on the same boat. We all love film together. So ever since I was younger, it was a culture in my family, like especially like my mom and my dad, they would like show us like different films from young. So I guess it's always been in my childhood, and then after that, when I matured and I have my own like my own interest, and I'm during the period of like adolescence, and then you're just trying to uh, discover yourself and stuff like that. And then I also developed my own interest in film, especially like the coming of age, when I'm actually trying to discover myself. And then I realized a lot of films in the coming of age genre um, actually help us teenagers understand ourselves. And then when we feel things, we don't exactly know how to comprehend and understand them. And then I think a lot of films these days can help us through that. So okay, initially I've always loved film, but then it wasn't really the diploma that I wanted to go into. I wanted to go into the science stream actually. So I was also a science loving student in secondary school, and I wanted to go under there. But in contrary to that, my mother, she said that she kind of like had a pragmatic talk with me, and she wanted to be realistic. She was talking about how do I really want to spend at least 10 years in the uh, science journey on like getting my PhD, and I have to go all the way to take a PhD to actually be, a doctor or like something like that. But then she was telling me how media and videography and the film industry is getting more and more relevant these days. And she said, though people don't actually see it, they think like, oh, film, everyone can do film, just like take a video, film, and stuff like that. But then I think that she's right. It's getting more and more relevant. And she said that if I actually venture into learning more about filmmaking, I could learn more about, not only about film, but how I can express myself. If I have a belief or a message that I want to tell people, I can actually show that through film. So people don't exactly have to hear my words to understand my message, but they just have to feel it through watching, the films that we produce. Yeah, so I agree film is getting more and more relevant, and though people think like film is something that everyone can equip, I think this diploma definitely helped us through uh, learning a lot about filmmaking, and I think it's deeper than that. So storytelling, we learn about um, about like subtext and like feelings and uh, bigger like messages being brought from like just one like video, for example. And during my lecture, he was telling me how if we document a life about someone, uh, there is supposed to be a subtext below it. Like we have to spring out to a bigger question that audiences can question themselves or society can question themselves. So yeah, this is a special thing about film, I think, because not only are you just watching the visuals, but you have to also uh, feel and identify what's the bigger question that the filmmaker is trying to question the audiences.
Okay, so film as a tool to get over your ideas as well as your messages and your thoughts as well. Yeah, film is also being well, your mom said, and as we all agree, is getting even more relevant. It's not only just to go and watch movies or to watch your favorite film, short film on the internet, but it's also used in business, right? So like storytelling in business, use of film. We all know, in advertisements, and there's also lots getting more and more storytelling in getting messages, commercials across, the soft selling of products or services. Okay, right. Anything to add, Lester? You've been in film since when?
So I have been studying film for I think about almost 6 years now. So how I came about to love film is actually through secondary school. My school invited me to go over to Temasek Poly to know more about film course and other design course. So when I went to the film, like inside the film hall, and I see all the films, that's where I started to realize that wow, it's interesting to see how films can change someone's life, not just me alone, but everyone else. And because of that, I decided to say that okay, after secondary school, I just go to a film course. Unfortunately, I can't. I went to IT, but it's okay because that's where I learned a lot of interesting topics, interesting technical side, and then I decided to pursue my course by going to Temasek Polytechnic, where I learned more of like storytelling. So throughout the past 2 years, it has been a wonderful journey learning all the different modules from like the pre-production, script writing, and to like the post-production, and we are all involved in like every aspect of like film. So I think the best part about this course is that it not only does you have to write on the script, it lets you dive into like different kind of people's stories. So right now I'm actually doing a documentary module where I'm actually writing a story about my father, and because there are a lot of things I didn't know about my father because he went to jail and so on, and through this documentary module, it brought me closer to my family as like the whole lah. And it really changed a lot of perspective to my father. And not only that, like our past seniors has also like contributed to a lot of documentaries that make me realize that there's more to filmmaking. Filmmaking is not just about telling stories, but it's about spreading love and hope to everyone around you. And if it is a very powerful tool in the media, like we really can help save a lot of people. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, we've been like quite serious so far, right? It's about this, like what the subjects and all. Like so far, what has been like the most memorable, fun thing that you can share ever since you started the DFT journey here?
To be very frank, actually, this week alone has been one of my most memorable because that's where I have to research my father, which I actually haven't done before. It's something very, very new that, like, I have to, like, go talk to him, like, maybe the whole day just to know more about him, know about his life, instead of just focusing on other stuff. And it's a very good step.
Mm.
The other memorable project is probably my very first film project in TP because it's like the very first and I get to mingle around with a lot of my other classmates, which make it a very special experience for me to like see how each person's have their own creativity in films, creativity in their own like roles and stuff. Yep.
Mm. So, for Celeste, what CCA were you in secondary school? Was it anything to do with film?
Actually, didn't really have much to do with film. I was in
Mm.
choir in
Science.
secondary school, but
Mm.
I did some like, for example, our seniors had to graduate, then we had to do like a
Mm.
video for them. So I was mainly in charge of those videos, like compiling pictures and also like taking videos of our juniors saying their thank yous and goodbyes for our seniors. So I was mainly the person editing and directing the videos, which I did not know at that point of time until
Oh, okay. Right. So how different? Okay, obviously, you are doing more uh, deeper and complicated, things now. But can you recall, like, from those days when you had your first, doing editing, compiling pictures and all that, right? What's the difference? I mean, what have you? How do you feel the progression has been like?
I feel like it's really been a big jump. Like my first ever sort of film project was a school project where we had to be these reporters, and then I was editing it. So at that point of time, I started to see there was a lot of effects and stuff like how the starting, the intro music, and you can add in and then create your own video. And that was the spark in me. It started a spark in me, but I didn't really have a meaning as to why I did it. But after entering TP, slowly you see that when you're crafting a story, you need to have a reason behind why you're doing it, the purpose for it. And like it depends on individuals, like what their purpose is, like what they want to tell the audiences. And I think it's like it's very emotional and it's very touching in a way. And what you want to tell the audience are all up to individual filmmakers, and it makes a point across subtly, like just now Fela said, it's through emotions and also through visuals without needing to talk. Yeah, and the audience will understand you. So there is a purpose behind why you're doing the film and what you want the audience to take away from it instead of just purely doing it.
So can you recall when you say emotional, I mean, did you expect that or how did that come about? Was there a specific example? Can you remember?
After I entered DFT, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the most emotional was definitely my first short film project. I did not know like how I actually wanted to go about it since it was my first film. But then after that, like I went home and think about it. Then through personal experiences, my first film was about two buddies that had miscommunication. So when I was in primary school, I had a buddy as well and all I wanted was for her to play with me. I just wanted her to understand me, and I was very, I would say angry, but I didn't like the fact that she did not want to talk to me as such. So I made the film, like the idea came, and we sort of made the film around the values of trying to communicate with each other and also being more understanding as well. And like friendship is very important and communication is key. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting because here we are doing a subject for school, but we are also developing relationships with family members, right, Lester? Getting to know more about your dad. We've always been like too busy with our own things, and it's quite nice. It's very nice actually to be able to marry your interest, your career, your passion with life. Getting interacting and getting more meaning into your lives and other people's lives. Fella, your family are into film, and or your family members are into film, and how about you? How has it been in terms of uh, emotional experiences, during filmmaking? And yeah, can you recall?
Okay, so during being in filmmaking, I guess when we first come into film, like all of us just assume like, okay, we have to come up with a story idea and then we can just go along with the whole story, we think that the story is completely fine and then we can just go along with production for that. And then this is where I think our lectures really play a part in really being our third eye. Uh, and they expand our creativity. They expand it in a way where it's way bigger than just a story. Then they will deep into your past. They'll deep into They dig into your past. They dig into um your personal past struggles, your experiences, things that scarred you, things that made you discover who you really are, things that made us emotional and stuff like that. And I think that whole process of really finding out what we truly want to tell the audiences through like basic stories, I think that whole part is really emotional in that sense because we get to really dig into our emotions and then really find out what we really are. And then I guess in that way, we also have a self evaluation about our lives, what has gone by, who has left our life, who are in our lives that we really care about. Um, Talk about our growth over the last few years, what went wrong, what went right. And then I think that whole self discovery is uh, alone emotional for me because I think from the start of filmmaking, when I came into year one all the way till now, I definitely think I changed so much as a person in the way I view life, in the way I view school in general, in the way I view my friends and my family. And I think it's all part of the growing process. And I think filmmaking in general, it's so deep. So, for example, in filmmaking, they don't only teach you like the modules as it is, but they really help you discover who you really are. When you find the friends here, you guys all talk about film together. You guys talk about your life issues together and all that. And then I guess it really shapes you as a person. And then through that, you'll be able to find out, what your true goal is in life and what things you believe in and all. So I think it's all an emotional progress throughout this whole journey as we also emotionally grow, mentally grow, and also physically grow.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say there's any specific highlight that really made me grow, but my SFP2 project, I think the amount of pressure that we have, the amount of, uh, the more pressurizing it is, the more we feel so stressed, and then we are, when you reach a moment where you're like, so like, oh, I cannot take it anymore. But then still, when we can't take it anymore, we'll still move on. We'll still, we'll be able to like handle the pressure eventually. And then I think that makes us stronger and stronger and stronger. And then by the end of this whole SFP2 experience, I realized like, my God, why couldn't I actually handle the stress in that moment? But when I actually look back, it wasn't really that hard. So that's the moment where I realized that I grew as a person. I grew my uh, I would say like my tolerance of stress, and then that alone is growth to me.
Okay. What about Lester? Your experience. Since you shared about starting on your docu program. What's it like? Working on the fiction film and docu program. What's been the experience so far up to now? The difference or similarities?
I think for fictions film, I think most important thing is inspiration. I think actually both sides is more of like what Celeste and Fela say is, but the why are you coming out with this story? So ultimately, the story has to be a message that tells the audience something. And I think between fiction and non-fiction, fiction you have a lot of creativity where you can experiment wherever you want. You can be creative to do sci-fi and so on. Whereas for non-fiction, you have to do something that is close to your heart, something that is very real and very raw out of life. Like so, actually, ultimately, I felt that I'm more into the fiction side as I like to create very cool like sci-fi story. But in general, most of us we get to learn and also like during this course you get to decide whether maybe you're like the TV commercial type, you're like the non-fiction and fiction type, and so on. Yeah.
What about the rest? Have you discovered anything about are you the documentary type or are you the fiction type or, a marketing videos type, or rather your inclination? Mm,
Okay, so personally for me, I think that uh, it really differs because documentary alone, I think some people enjoy documentary because it's real life, it's reality. We are inside reality, so we should know it best. But I think there's also a group of people like myself who, documentary really makes you like realize and discover so many flaws in society, or you discover so many things about society that you didn't know as just a student, as a teenager. So it's so real to the point it's just very uh, it's so transparent. And then I think uh, through documentaries, for example, right now, currently we are 1 week into our documentary modules, like Celeste, Lester, and I. And then right now at this juncture, one of the uh, issues that I'm struggling with is actually finding a very strong angle for the documentary. Something I think we have to springboard to like a larger issue in this whole society, or the way people um, perceive like a certain stigma and stuff like that. For example, mine will be about people with disabilities. So I'm just trying to figure out, which angle hasn't been told about, because we want to be as original as we are, and we just want to be a very fresh new angle. So I think a lot of it is really coming out of our little bubble where we are protected by our parents and all that, and then now it's realizing that we have to enter the adult life soon, and uh, we have to come face to face with the things that are really happening in this world, the things that are happening in society, why it's built this way and all that. So all these are very transparent, I would say controversial, and in a way taboo. Yeah, so documentary in a way is very real. And it's good because you can get educated, and eventually as an adult you will have to come face to face with these real life problems. So documentary really opens our eye to the world that it is. And yeah, but there's also a different kind of documentary that also features the hidden scene in Singapore, or the hidden scene, the hidden culture, hidden interest. For example, as you see in the previous documentaries, like the Vanishing Cards, they feature this street barber, for example. And then yeah, there are many different ways of like portraying like documentaries. For fictional films, I guess a lot of people will be comfortable with that because we can just go creative. We can come up with any stories, or we can even document our own lives and make that into a fictional story and stuff. But then I think for fictional films, there are also some brief and guideline that you have to go through, like what's a very strong inciting incident that will make audiences go like wow. So there are many. I think it's easy to come up with a story, but it's very difficult to brainstorm a really strong story that will make your audiences feel, that will make your audiences go like, okay, I didn't see that coming. And I think those are ideal reactions you want from audiences, and it really takes a lot of like collaboration of ideas from your peers, from yourself, from your parents, and all that to really deeper into the bigger message that you're gonna bring across from a normal story of a day in the life of someone's life and stuff like that. So yeah. So documentary, it's about getting educated about the real life stuff. It's I think in a way for us, it's the best period of time to have documentary because most of us in our cohort now, we are like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And then this is the period where I think we still grow. It's probably the period where we should learn more about what's happening around us. So when we actually graduate from poly, we can be, a step ahead of everyone else. We can actually talk about politics, we can learn about society stuff, and then in a way it's like learning about the general knowledge of what's happening up there. So it's preparing us for adulthood as well. So I think this is something good about filmmaking. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa, Fella, and Celeste and Lester, and also if you for those of you who are following us here, thank you so much for joining in. Do feel free to uh, put in a chat or two in our general open house website if you have any questions about joining the School of Design, especially in particular the Digital Film and Television Diploma. Okay, right. So thanks everyone, and have a good time enjoying the rest of the TP Open House 2020.
Hi, welcome to DFT Open House 2020. I'm your host Celeste, and if you wish to craft powerful and emotional stories across multiple platforms, then this is the course for you. Let me guide you through what the digital film and television course is all about. So, in your first year, you have hands-on experience in camera, lighting, sound, and editing.
You will learn basic creative storytelling and project pitching, where you learn how to find strong ideas and pitch them successfully to clients. At the end of your first year, you apply everything you've learned to make your very first 3-minute short film.
Don't follow me.
And this is done in a group, so you don't just learn how to make a film, but also how to work in a team, because teamwork is very important in filmmaking. In the first semester of your second year, you experience firsthand what goes on behind the scenes of studio production, where different skill sets, such as communication skills, are put to the test.
Let's go, Karthik. 10, 9,
You'll get more
8,
in-depth learning in the
7,
following subjects, ranging from cinematography, audio post, screenwriting, writing for non-fiction, and directing. At the end of your second year, you'll have a chance to do 2 short films, an 8-minute fun genre film like comedy, horror, or thriller, and a 10-minute documentary. And finally, when you get to your year 3, you will go for a student internship program,
where you'll intern at a production company of your choice and get the chance to see firsthand how the industry works. When you come back to school after 4 months of internship, you should be ready for your final stretch in DFT, doing your final year project, and making a film you can be proud to put on your portfolio. Our alumni have won reputable awards such as Cine 65, National Youth Film Awards, Crowbar Awards, and New York festivals.
I know it might seem like a lot to process, but don't worry. In DFT, the lecturers are passionate mentors with many years of experience in the industry, and they'll be there with you throughout every step of the way in your learning journey. Besides, there's nothing more fun than learning with friends that share the same passion in storytelling and filmmaking. So if you wish to tell your stories on screen, bring your audiences on an emotional journey of laughter and tears, one award-winning film at a time. Then come join us at